filtering through his entire body, as if she truly were looking right into him, as if she could see all the way down to his presently curling toes. She held Hugh in a thrall for a moment, with just her eyes, then turned to walk into the hovel. She left the door open, undoubtedly an invitation for him to follow. Hugh relaxed once she was out of sight, then glanced at the mountain man beside him. Lucan, the Emmanuel, his friend and confidant for years. Hugh had rather hoped his companion would soothe the foolish superstitions suddenly rising within him. The old childhood beliefs in witches and haunts were all rattling to life in his suddenly fancy-filled mind, and he'd been counting on Lucan to arch one amused eyebrow and make some derisive comment that would put everything back into perspective. Unfortunately, it appeared his sensible friend was feeling rather fanciful himself today. Rather than soothe him, Lucan appeared nervous himself. "Think you she knows?" he asked. Hugh gave a start at the question. It hadn't occurred to him that she might. He considered the possibility now, his gaze fixed on the hovel. "Nay," he said at last. "How could she?" "Aye," Lucan agreed, with less confidence as they dismounted. "How could she?" The old woman was fussing over the fire when they entered the shack. It gave the two men an opportunity to survey their surroundings. In contrast with the filthy and dilapidated state of the outside of the cottage, the inside was clean and quite homey. Flowers sat in a wooden bowl in the centre of a rough-hewn table at one end of the room, while a narrow cot was pressed up against the wall opposite. A fire was built into the wall across from the door, and it was here the woman stood, stoking the flames. Once satisfied, she moved back to the table and collapsed upon one of the 3 chairs, then waved Hugh and Lucan to the others. After a barely noticeable hesitation, Hugh took the seat opposite the woman, placing his back to the door. Lucan took the seat adjacent to her, leaving him a clear view of the door should anyone enter. They then waited expectantly for the woman to ask their reason for coming. Instead, she took the wine flask from the centre of the table and poured 2 mugs full. Ignoring Lucan, she pushed one to Hugh, then lifted the other to her mouth. For want of anything better to do, Hugh drank. He was immediately sorry. The wine was bitter, scraping across his tongue. Doing his best not to show his distaste, he set the almost full tankard back on the table's worn surface. Hugh returned his gaze to the witch, still expecting questions regarding his presence, or at least his identity. The crone merely eyed him over the lip of her own mug, waiting. When the silence had grown long and tense, he finally spoke. "I am Hugh Dulonget, the 5th Earl of Hillcrest." He gave a start as she finished the introduction for him. "You know of my uncle's dead heart?" "I beg your pardon?" He stared at her, nonplussed. "I said he's dead. His heart gave out on him," she repeated impatiently. "You'll succeed to his title and holdings." "Aye, I am his nephew, his only heir." "The only one?" Her tone was dry and had him shifting uncomfortably. "Well, aye," he lied, squirming under her all-knowing gaze. He said, "Nay, Uncle Richard left a bequest for—" "A bequest?" She seemed to look right through him. Hugh picked up the wine, drinking from it almost desperately despite its bitter taste. Slamming the tankard down once it was empty, he straightened his shoulders and scowled. "Of course, you shall continue to receive coin for our care. Her, the girl, this Willa person my uncle was so concerned with." He did not bother to hide his distaste for the matter. "Coin for her care, Hugh swallowed and felt his discomfort increase. Her steady stare was